Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and then a great solo effort from Marcus Rashford as he ran half the length of the field, ignored the other options available to him, and fired Manchester United's second. 2-0 was how it finished. Manchester United clearly had on the expected goals. Burnley with only that one shot on target out of the 11 that they had. In fact, they had more shots than Manchester United, had more final third entries as well. The possession fairly balanced. Manchester United just shading it. So there are positives for Burnley, and in some ways it made you feel like you wanted a little bit more, didn't it?
I thought so. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think you know when you come to Old Trafford, you're Burnley, you're playing in the Championship. I thought at times United weren't anywhere near the best. I thought they were playing in third gear. It's quite stark that Burnley are the top of the Championship. In my mind, that United were well below the best. But I just didn't want that little bit more conviction, a bit more belief in the final third. Didn't come. Thought United, to be fair, could always just turn it up a gear and just go that extra yard if they needed to and step it up. But look, it was a comfortable night in the end, and United just had the quality on the pitch that was needed in the final third. And
we saw that with the first goal, from the delivery to the far post to Wan-Bissaka's cutback.
Yeah, no two ways about it. I mean, you know, controlled play, and then coming out to Fernandez, who, you know, gets turned in. He's good at these soft dives around the box, seeing them slightly longer passes, but in these sort of positions to open the play. But Bissaka does fantastic there. And I just think, as I said, that, you know, two young centre-halves are doing great this season and learning as they go, I'm sure. And, you know, if you notice, they just don't get turned quick enough. You know, you get in the line of the ball as it goes over their shoulder. You've got to get back across that near post as quick as possible. They're just delayed. They allow it to go inside of him. And it's, you know, something they'll continue to learn. But it is a quality goal. No two ways about it. You see Goodmanson reacts really quick. And the two centre-halves are behind the reaction time.
Yeah, look, there's a number of things. Burnley, Barnes probably could have got out to Fernandez. There's no need for him to be sort of 5-6 yards off him, but the quality from United. But Wan-Bissaka, sometimes you see full-backs, when they go in that final third, they stay a little bit wider. He came narrow, which helped him, but he's still got, you know, he's still at full stretch there. And to get that ball across like he did with the pace on it, was a brilliant delivery, and he makes it easy for Eriksen.
What about Marcus Rashford's goal?
I was shouting past it.
Yeah, well, I didn't know whether I was going to say that or not, so I thought I'd let you admit it.
No, I just thought there was a run. I can't think it was Martial made a run, and I thought there was another pass he could have made. But he's carried on and on and on. He just wins it back there, nicks it, McTominay, and they just back off Burnley. And I think there's a point in it where I'm thinking, has Marcus got his head up? Has he got his head up? And you think that Martial run there, he gets a little bit of good fortune. It's a weak one. I think it's Bayer, the centre-back, maybe, that just sort of sticks a leg out, and it's not nowhere near enough. He's got to send him wide if he can. Once he lets him come back inside, he's in trouble. It's a weak leg, that, from a defender, but it's a brilliant finish, that. It really is. He's still got a lot to do, Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, he catches it right at the end with that bit of dip, but early on in the move, you know, I think Gary mentioned it at the very, very top of the show, saying about Rashford looks like he's smiling again when he's through his football. It's an old-fashioned saying that you can tell when players are enjoying it, and he looks there. I like him when he's doing that, getting his head down, being really super direct. He does so, he commits defenders. Like Gary says, I mean, you can argue maybe he could get a bigger foot on it, or maybe just hold his ground a little bit more in the centre-half. Maybe Cullen can get round and give a deeper defensive position, but eventually gets clear in it, and it's a great finish, across goal. Very difficult for the keeper.
Even hitting it there indicates someone in a better frame of mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the power he puts on that dip that we sometimes see from his free kicks, he's now starting to put that into his game. I actually think that's the hardest of the positions on the right that Marcus plays. I think he's better centrally, and he's better on the left, certainly. On the right, I think it is difficult for him at times, but he looks more enthusiastic and more willing to play there at this moment in time and makes the best of it. And I thought, you know, generally he was happy in the warm-up. He looked like he was ready to come back. You know, you think about the World Cup and the impact it will have had on some of these teams. You've got Brazilians out there, some of the English lads out there who obviously have had disappointments, being knocked out in quarter-final games. He's come back, looks like he's happy, and it's a good start for him, and I think a good warm-up game to get back into the Premier League.
Is it, as a manager, is it a positive that he can play and seems willing to play any one of those three positions across that front line?
Well, I think as the freedom seems to be coming back into his game, I think you free your mind up as well, not just your positional sense. Once you do that, you are more alive to whatever the manager asks, what the team need from you. You know, when you're playing inside yourself, you sometimes, you know, things get in the way of your mind and what you're thinking about your game, and I want to play this position and all them kind of things. But when you free yourself up a bit, I mean, the only thing I was surprised at tonight, maybe earlier in the game, I thought he might change the two wide players onto the opposite sides. I thought he might put Garnacho on one side, trying to cut in, and Rashford on the other. That was the only thing tactically. But I just think he looks in a better place. You know, he looks in a more happy place, football-wise, of course. And I think a lot has been made of his past and the amazing things he's done. But it's still a big weight on him, and he looks like that's freed him up now. And he's playing, you know, he's playing much more directly and much better football. And I like him when he's doing that.
I think Anthony will definitely play on that right-hand side, obviously, in Ten Hag's front three. I think that'll mean Marcus will more than likely go central or to the left, because I can't see Anthony's not going to play. At the moment, I would say probably it would be Martial up front, with Rashford to the left and Anthony to the right would be the starting three for the Premier League games.
He's not the first young player to have had a dip in his career, and he won't be the last. So I guess it's a mixture of credit to him and credit to the environment that Ten Hag is trying to create.
Yeah, it was just probably a prolonged dip, a little bit like Harry Maguire, a little bit of a prolonged dip as well. And you know, you saw Harry Maguire play in this World Cup full of confidence. So you get that sometimes in your career. You're absolutely right. You do go through a dip when you first break into the team. It's euphoric. Everyone's on your side. Then you go down a little bit and people turn on you, and then you have to come through it. It is a path that many have trodden, particularly at Manchester United and with England. Because you play for England, you're going to get that criticism and that scrutiny. But he looks like he's come through it, and let's hope he's through it now for the long term.
Harder when you're a homegrown player, do you think?
No, I'm not sure it is hard as a homegrown player, personally. I think if you're bought for money, then there's a lot more pressure on you. I mean, when I've been at the club for a long time, lads who have the price tags on the head, certainly I think get put under more pressure than the homegrown player. Homegrown player's a bit of a freebie. I'm not saying that the expectation's still high, but you are in some ways already in credit by the fact that the club have got you for nothing and haven't really spent any money on you. I don't know if you think the same.
There's sometimes a greater desire from the home fans to want that young player to succeed because they are one of your own.
He originally came out of pretty much nowhere, if you remember.
He did, yeah.
I mean, you might know him, Gary, but I didn't know much about him when he first came on the scene. At a very young age, got thrown in, did great very early on, and then Gary knows more than me about the top level of it, but it becomes a career then. And once it becomes a career, that young spirit, the novelty kind of wears off a little bit, and now people are looking at you with expectation. And I think at clubs like this, because of their era, coming through so many good young players, it kind of freed that sort of thinking up. And then when you get slightly older, people start going, go on then, we're expecting of you now. And that can bring a bit of weight on your shoulders. And then a lot was going on off the pitch with him, and I just think it's probably all coming back together. And it certainly looks like it. I hope it is for him and for Man United, because he's a good player, very good player.
Yeah, I'd say there's more pressure on Sancho at 75 million quid, who's obviously English as well, than there is on Marcus, who's obviously been here for nothing. And the same with Anthony, 90-odd million. These lads are under big pressure. It shouldn't be like that, but Marcus has come through the ranks, and I think, but the fee's big. The fee's big. There are massive expectations of what you've got to deliver if you come to a club for 70 million quid or 90 million quid like Anthony. That's got to bring more expectation with it, I would say.
Well, we can hear from Marcus Rashford now. He's talking with Emma Saunders.